Noor Mukadam's murder is one of the most horrifying crimes in Pakistan's history. Zahir Jaffer, a man from a wealthy and influential family, turned into a monster who committed unthinkable acts. He tortured Noor in ways that are hard to imagine. He raped her, hurt her physically and emotionally, and ignored her cries for help. In the end, he beheaded her with a sharp object. This terrible crime has shocked the entire nation and raised questions about justice, women's safety, and the failures in our society. Today, we will look at Noor's life, what led to her murder, and the impact this case has left behind. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our true crime stories. Your support means everything. Noor Mukadam was born on October 23, 1993, in Amman, Jordan. She was the daughter of Shaukat Mukadam, a respected diplomat who represented Pakistan in several countries. Noor grew up in a loving and privileged family. She spent most of her childhood and early life in Islamabad, the capital city of Pakistan, where she attended some of the best schools. Noor was a lively and kind person. She loved spending time with her friends, family, and pets. She also had a deep interest in art and culture, which shaped her warm and friendly personality. Those who knew her described her as compassionate and full of life, someone who could brighten up a room with her presence. Her family held an important place in Pakistan's social and political circles due to her father's diplomatic career. Despite the public attention that came with being the daughter of a diplomat, Noor was known for her humility and kindness toward everyone. This was the world Noor came from, a place of love, opportunity, and privilege. However, her life took a tragic turn when she crossed paths with someone who would eventually cause her unimaginable pain and suffering. Zahir Jaffer, the man responsible for Noor Mukadam's murder, came from a wealthy and influential family in Pakistan. His family owned a large business empire, which included one of the country's leading firms, Ahmed Jaffer and Company. Zahir himself was a dual citizen of Pakistan and the United States. Despite his privileged background, his life was marked by troubling behavior and a dark history. Zahir was born into luxury, but his actions often raised concerns among those who knew him. He had a reputation for being aggressive and unpredictable. Over the years, reports emerged about his struggles with mental health and substance abuse, but there were no significant efforts by his family or community to address these issues. Zahir and Noor knew each other through social circles. Both came from similar backgrounds and often attended the same events and gatherings. In the video, Noor Mukadam and Zahir Jaffer can be seen dancing happily at a wedding. They look like two people enjoying the moment, smiling and carefree. However, no one could have imagined the tragic events that would soon change Noor's life forever. Their relationship was not a simple friendship. Noor reportedly tried to distance herself from Zahir because of his erratic and controlling behavior. She saw warning signs and wanted to stay away from him, but Zahir refused to let her go. There were moments when Zahir's troubling behavior became public knowledge. His history of substance abuse and violent tendencies had caused problems for those around him. Still, his family's influence often kept him out of legal trouble. This lack of accountability gave Zahir the confidence to continue his harmful actions without fear of consequences. Zahir's obsession with Noor grew stronger over time. He became increasingly controlling and refused to respect her boundaries. Noor, on the other hand, tried to lead her life peacefully, unaware of the tragic fate that awaited her. The tragic sequence of events began in mid-July 2021. Noor Mukadam was at her home in Islamabad, going about her daily life. On July 18th, Zahir Jaffer contacted her. He insisted that she visit him at his residence in the city's upscale sector F74. Despite her attempts to stay away from him, Zahir convinced her to meet, claiming he just wanted to talk. Noor, unaware of his intentions, decided to go. Noor left her home that evening, telling her family she was visiting friends. She arrived at Zahir's house, but what followed was far from an ordinary meeting. Once she entered his home, Zahir did not allow her to leave. It became clear she was being held against her will. Over the next 2 days, Noor was trapped inside the house. She made several attempts to escape. On one occasion, she managed to reach the front gate, where CCTV footage later revealed her pleading for help. However, Zahir and his household staff stopped her and forced her back inside. In another attempt, she jumped from a room window in desperation, but she was caught and forced back inside before she could get away. Zahir's behavior became more violent as time passed. He cut off Noor's contact with the outside world, taking away her phone to prevent her from calling for help. Noor's family, concerned about her absence, tried to reach her, but their calls went unanswered. During this time, Noor's father, Noor Mukadam, began to worry. He searched for his daughter, contacting her friends and acquaintances to find out where she might be. Little did he know that Noor was in grave danger, just miles away from her family's home. As the hours passed, Zahir's actions became more sinister. He ignored Noor's desperate attempts to reason with him, instead escalating his threats. It was clear that Zahir had planned to hurt her, and Noor had no way of escaping the situation she was in. The horrifying events reached their tragic climax on July 20th, 2021. Noor Mukadam's final hours were marked by unimaginable cruelty at the hands of Zahir Jaffer. In his residence, Noor was subjected to brutal violence that escalated to her murder. According to evidence later presented in court, Zahir tortured Noor physically and emotionally. He raped her and continued to harm her as she begged for her life. Noor fought to survive, but Zahir's anger and obsession drove him to commit one of the most heinous acts imaginable. In a shocking act of brutality, Zahir beheaded Noor using a sharp object. The murder was not only horrifying in its cruelty, but also deeply premeditated. Zahir showed no remorse or hesitation as he carried out the killing. While this gruesome act was taking place, Zahir's household staff were present on the property. Despite knowing what was happening, they did nothing to intervene. The staff, who later faced legal charges, failed to call for help or stop the crime. This inaction highlighted the systemic neglect that allowed such an atrocity to occur. After murdering Noor, Zahir made no attempt to hide what he had done. Instead, he called his parents to inform them of the crime. His parents, rather than reporting him to the police, tried to cover up the incident. This led to further complicity as they attempted to protect their son instead of seeking justice for Noor. On the evening of July 20th, 2021, Noor Mukadam's father, Noor Mukadam, grew increasingly anxious as his daughter remained unreachable. After hours of trying to contact her, he received devastating news. Noor's body had been discovered at Zahir Jaffer's residence in Islamabad. When police arrived at the scene, they found Noor's lifeless body in a horrific state. She had been brutally tortured and beheaded. The crime scene was chilling, providing clear evidence of the violence she had endured. Zahir Jaffer was present at the house when law enforcement officers arrived, showing no sign of remorse for his actions. The police quickly arrested Zahir Jaffer on suspicion of murder. He was taken into custody along with key evidence from the crime scene, including CCTV footage, forensic material, and the murder weapon. The footage confirmed Noor's attempts to escape and the role Zahir played in restraining her. Further investigation revealed that Zahir's household staff, including a gardener and security guard, had witnessed Noor's captivity and attempts to flee. Despite this, they did nothing to intervene or inform authorities, raising questions about their complicity. Zahir's parents were also implicated in the investigation. Evidence showed that Zahir had called them after the murder, and instead of contacting the police, they attempted to obstruct justice by helping their son cover up the crime. This led to their eventual arrest, along with the household staff, on charges of aiding and abetting the murder. Forensic reports confirmed the horrific details of Noor's death. The autopsy revealed signs of torture, physical assault, and ultimately, her beheading. DNA evidence linked Zahir directly to the crime, corroborating witness statements and other findings. The murder weapon, a sharp object used in the beheading, was recovered from the crime scene. Zahir's fingerprints were found on it, further implicating him. Zahir Jafar's trial began in October 2021, attracting national and international attention. The court proceedings were closely followed by the public, as Noor's case had become a symbol of the fight against gender-based violence in Pakistan. During the trial, Zahir displayed erratic behavior, often disrupting court sessions and refusing to cooperate. His defense attempted to argue that he was mentally unfit to stand trial, but this claim was dismissed after psychiatric evaluations deemed him fully capable of understanding his actions. Prosecutors presented a strong case against Zahir, relying on the overwhelming evidence gathered during the investigation. Witness testimonies, forensic reports, and CCTV footage painted a clear picture of his guilt. On February 24, 2022, the court found Zahir Jafar guilty of Noor Mukadam's murder. He was sentenced to death, with additional penalties for rape and unlawful confinement. 2 household staff members were also convicted and sentenced to 10 years in prison for aiding in the crime. Zahir Jafar's defense team filed an appeal against the death sentence, seeking acquittal. In their arguments, they claimed that the court had failed to consider certain factors that could mitigate his punishment. His defense relied on points such as alleged mental instability, procedural flaws during the trial, and a claim that the punishment was too severe. In March 2023, the Islamabad High Court reviewed the appeal and ultimately upheld the trial court's original verdict. The judges ruled that the evidence against Zahir was overwhelming and that his actions were deliberate, planned, and showed no regard for human life. Unwilling to accept this decision, Zahir Jafar's legal team escalated the matter to Pakistan's Supreme Court in April 2023. They filed a petition challenging both the conviction and the sentence, arguing that their client deserved a reduction in punishment or even acquittal. Zahir's lawyers attempted to portray him as a troubled individual whose actions were influenced by mental health issues. They argued that his mental state at the time of the crime should have been considered as a mitigating factor. However, the prosecution countered these claims by presenting psychiatric evaluations that had determined Zahir was mentally fit and fully aware of his actions. The prosecution maintained that the crime was premeditated, brutal, and entirely unjustifiable. They argued that the severity of the crime warranted the death penalty, not only as punishment for Zahir, but also as a deterrent for others. Noor Mukadam's family supported this stance, emphasizing the need for justice and accountability. As of now, the case remains under review by the Supreme Court of Pakistan. The court's decision will determine whether Zahir Jafar's sentence will be upheld, reduced, or overturned. The legal process has kept Noor Mukadam's family and supporters in a prolonged state of waiting as they continue to fight for justice in her name. The outcome of this appeal will have significant implications not only for Noor's case, but also for the broader conversation about justice and accountability in Pakistan.